Hey y'all, Coach Inthefight here. Got artificial intelligence with me, and in today's class we're going to be talking about the first day of the third month. And that's partially the reason why we are doing this class with the artificial intelligence, is because we are behind. We're looking at Ezekiel chapter 31. The first one says, "And it came to pass in the 11th year, in the third month, in the first day of the month, that the word of the Lord came unto me, saying." So this is today. It actually started yesterday with the sighting of the new moon. We weren't able to see it here. This rain you hear now was going on then. Praise our Father in heaven for the rain. But we see over at truthofyahweh.org that there was some people in California, Canada, Tennessee cited by 3, and we got an additional report from Arizona. But anyway, what we're interested in is what it says in Ezekiel 31. "Son of man, speak unto Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and to his multitude, whom art thou like in thy greatness?" Then it goes on to talk about the Assyrians, and what we want to do is use artificial intelligence. Assume Ezekiel 31 is speaking of modern times, and explain how that prophecy is being fulfilled generally, and events that have occurred on recent first days of the third month.
Ezekiel chapter 31 presents a vivid allegory in which the Assyrian Empire is depicted as a majestic cedar tree, symbolizing its grandeur and dominance. The prophecy warns Egypt, likening it to this fallen cedar, to heed the lessons of Assyria's downfall. Given the symbolic nature of this passage, some interpret it as a timeless warning against pride and overconfidence, applicable to any nation or power that elevates itself above others. While Ezekiel's prophecy was directed at ancient Egypt, its themes resonate in modern contexts. Nations that exhibit arrogance, disregard for others, or overreach in their ambitions may find themselves facing challenges and consequences, much like the Assyrian Empire did. The allegory serves as a reminder of the potential pitfalls of hubris and the importance of humility and awareness of one's limitations. In contemporary times, various nations have experienced the rise and fall of power, often marked by economic, political, or military overextension. While these events are not direct fulfillments of Ezekiel's prophecy, they echo the underlying message of the dangers of unchecked pride and the eventual reckoning that can follow. It's important to note that interpretations of biblical prophecies can vary widely, and while some may draw parallels between ancient texts and modern events, others may view these passages as specific to their historical context. Therefore, any application to modern times should be approached with careful consideration and an understanding of the symbolic nature of the text.
Okay, so assume that he's speaking spiritually, like ideology or something like that.
Assuming Ezekiel chapter 31 is speaking spiritually, not about a literal nation like Assyria or Egypt, but symbolically about ideologies, economic systems, or the beast system, as referenced in prophetic or apocalyptic Christian eschatology. We can interpret the chapter as a divine commentary on the rise, arrogance, and collapse of spiritually corrupt systems in our world today. Evergreen Tree Summary of Ezekiel chapter 31, Spiritualized. Assyria as the cedar in Lebanon equals a powerful, influential, and majestic system. It grew tall, provided shade, was envied by all, yet was cut down because of pride. The warning is then turned toward Egypt, another symbol of worldly power. Now, spiritually and prophetically applied. Light bulb what the cedar represents today. If we see this cedar tree as a metaphor for a dominant global system, we might be talking about global economic systems built on debt, exploitation, and unsustainable greed. Materialistic ideologies, consumerism, technocracy, transhumanism. The beast system, as in Revelation, a network of political, technological, and financial control opposed to God's rule. Downward trend modern fulfillments, spiritually interpreted 1. Economic hubris and collapse. Like the cedar of Assyria, global capitalism has reached towering heights. Central banks and financial markets control almost all human activity. The economic tree provides shade and branches, resources, to all nations. However, pride, injustice, and exploitation are rampant. Right finger recent events, global economic shocks such as inflation surges, e.g., 2022 to 2024. Increasing centralization of currency, CBDCs. Rising inequality and collapse of the middle class. These may be signs that this spiritual cedar is being brought down by divine decree, just like in Ezekiel chapter 31 verses 10 to 11. Because it towered high and set its top among the clouds, and its heart was proud of its height. Ezekiel chapter 31 verse 10. 2. Techno-spiritual Babylon, AI, surveillance, and control, the beast system, often interpreted as a combination of digital IDs, global surveillance, financial control, e.g., AI-driven economies, CBDCs. Narrative manipulation through mass media can be seen as the modern cedar that provides the illusion of peace and order but is spiritually opposed to God. Recent example, magnifying glass on or around the first day of the third Enochian month, May 2025. There's been a surge in AI regulation discussions, central bank planning, and digital control rollouts globally. Talks of financial resets, the dollarization, and global governance reforms have accelerated. If these align with the idea of the cedar beginning to fall, it may reflect the judgment phase described in Ezekiel chapter 31 verse 12. Foreigners, the most ruthless of nations, cut it down and left it. Scroll prophetic themes fulfilled spiritually. Hubris of world systems, especially financial and technological empires. Judgment on corrupt structures. Warning to all who trust in systems rather than in God. Exposure and fall of elite powers. Warning spiritual warning to today's Egypt's. God tells Ezekiel to speak to Pharaoh, a symbol of power and control, and warn him of pride. This can be reinterpreted as a warning to modern leaders, systems, or even ideologies that place themselves as godlike, beyond accountability. To whom are you like in glory and greatness among the trees of Eden? Yet you shall be brought down. Ezekiel chapter 31 verse 18. Compass final insight. If this passage is understood as describing the spiritual demise of the end times Babylonian systems, then we are currently witnessing a slow collapse of these cedars through exposure, destabilization, and even divine judgment, as preparation for God's kingdom to be revealed.
So here's an outline of what the timeline could include. So you have the rise of the cedar in 1945, post-World War II. The expansion phase from 2001 to 2020. Look how during the hubris and centralization 2020 to 2023, COVID era controls, AI boom, warning signs in 2024, 2025, which is economic shocks, digital control debates, spiritual awakening. Then it says beginning of the fall, mid 2025. Here's a question mark. De-dollarization, systematic collapse and judgment, and then the preparation for the kingdom. Futuristic, he doesn't give a date. But anyway, we wanted to hurry up and get this out because it corresponds to today. So look for future videos on the month, like when is the Feast of Weeks, Pentecost.